Please goodbye to Biafra. Biafra can have any beyond this. You'll be only running around in circles. You can never come. It is the kingdom of heaven itself. You want to do something that is happening in heaven, on earth, for mankind to see and testify to the grace of the Lord. You have to be of the courage. You have to be without fear in the face of your enemies. If you are without fear before your enemies will run from you. Rather than you running from them, your enemies will run from you. If you speak the truth always, regardless of the consequences, lies will run from you. You must protect those who cannot protect themselves, not to steal from them. I repeat, it is your job as a child of heaven, IPOB family member, to protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is your job. Not to kidnap them, not to rob them. You must be of good conduct. That's Chiku Okike Abia. If these conditions are not in place, then Biafra will not come. And drop me like an auntie. Biafra Gahabia. Going to a native doctor, cannot save you. If you want Biafra, it doesn't work. We don't believe in that rubbish. Chukwukabiam is our shield and our guide. We don't commune with darkness. I am warning all 17 commanders, all our commanders, we don't commune with the devil. We don't do ordination. We believe in the protection that Chukwukabiam can offer. The weapon you need to protect yourself is your gun and your ammunition. We don't commune with spirit.
A special welcome to you. Today, of course, I was here a couple of hours ago, but I had a serious network breach, so it cut me off. So this is the part 2 of the broadcast I was making initially. I want you to go back and listen to the part 1 of it, very powerful, and we're coming to the second part of it. This is also going to be very powerful and impacting. You know, what we are doing in this period is to make sure that we impact Biafrans as much as possible as we prepare for where we're going. Very, very important. Where we're going is sacrosanct to us, very important, and very, 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 very so important to us that we can pay any price for it. I want to welcome you to this broadcast today, Thursday, the 13th day of July, 2023, and this is 4:58, 2 minutes to 5 Biafra time. Wherever you are, Biafra time is 2 minutes to 5. And welcome to this program. This is Biafra Global Network. My name is Kelechi Ambrose, and your servant, as always, under Mazen Namdekano, also, to always give you the gospel of truth and to make sure that we do the right thing until we're able to join again with him, because we know he's coming out very soon. Chukwuki has designed it this way that we are going to come this time so we can form the 100 men and prepare for the coming of Mazen Namdekano so that we all can together, you know, get to the promised land. It is very, very important that formidable people come together, people who believe in the truth and who would always stand for the truth, come together to make sure they put their energies together to form a very formidable force that would help to restore the kingdom of God here on earth, and that is the kingdom of Biafra. I want to thank you wherever you are, wherever you're joining from. Those of you who are watching now, those who are going to watch later, please share this broadcast on all your social media platforms and circulate it all around, because I'm going to be making some very, very vital points here today. Remember that we have been looking critically on how we can come together this time around, learning from the mistakes that we have made in the past, and the mistakes of glorifying people and not asking questions, but just giving our time, our resources, and everything to people without asking formidable questions that will help to determine whether they are on the path of truth or not. And Mazen Amdekano was taken away for the meantime by Chukwokike, so that we can organize the house and be able to ask the truth, ask the truthful questions that can give us a pathway. Remember that the narrative of Biafra, which God has given to us, would only come when we understand how to manage what He has put in our hands. Whatever God puts in our hands is meant for management, for us to manage it. Now, let me tell you this before I go deeper into today's conversation. It's just going to be a 30 minutes broadcast. I'll make sure that these days I don't stay so long. I just talk to you briefly. And anytime we're going to have a joint broadcast, maybe 1 hour we're through. But when I'm going to be speaking alone like this, 30 minutes I'm through, so that those who don't have much data can always watch. And of course, those who have data but don't have that much time to sit to watch, for a long time, would always have the information briefly in 30 minutes, and of course can do whatever they want to do later. And vision instills discipline. I want you to get this. Vision instills discipline. Now, unless people begin to understand the narrative of vision, they will not come to the point of conforming with the narrative of discipline, because it is only someone who knows the importance of the vision that they carry, or the vision that is collectively carried. That is when they would now understand the value of discipline. And discipline comes because I want to achieve a particular purpose that is embedded in vision. So vision gives me a perspective of purpose, so that I can work myself in a way so that I do the right thing. The reason why we find lots of people not understanding the narrative of discipline is because they have not understood the value of vision. God bless you, Mazikalicha. I hope you're doing great. Thank you so much, Massive Media. Thank you. I'm doing great. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, whenever you see a people who are joking with a vision or a particular purpose, especially let's narrow it down to Biafra. Whenever you see the people around who are joking with the narrative of Biafra and trying to design any kind of program and give it the name Biafra, whenever you see such kinds of people and taking for granted the narrative of Biafra outside the narrative of truth, you know that they have not actually understood the narrative of vision. That means they have not come to terms with the knowledge of vision, because it is only when they have the knowledge of vision they would work themselves up in the perspective of their personality to conform with discipline, so that they can achieve result. The lack of discipline is the lack of vision. Nobody gets involved in carrying out the objectives of vision without understanding the value of discipline. And so when you see that, when you look at everything and you discover that we are still joking with the narrative of Biafra, which Chukwuokike has given to us, then you must come to terms with the fact that the knowledge of vision is absent, and that is why discipline is not revealed or seen in the lives of the people that are claiming to be going for Biafra. Now let's come to the narrative of Chukwuokike giving us Biafra. Now I want you to understand something, that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said something before I go into what I wanted to say now. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said something, and I want to look at that critically. Now, how many of you remember when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said that as soon as his parents died, Chukwuokike said, look at Biafra, I have given to you Biafra. How many of you remember that? And it calls me to, it begins to make me wonder, because one unique thing that God has given to us as human beings is the ability to reason. And which means that every situation we find ourselves, or everything people tell us, or whatever is brought before us as a means of a particular narrative conveyed to us to understand, we must subject it to the template of reasoning, so that we can get the basic facts out of it. Now, when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said that, I began to wonder and think about it. He talked about God said, "I look at Biafra I've given to you," which means that Biafra is a prepared product. Let me give it. Let me come into that. Let me use the narrative of business to explain this, because I want you to see this so that whenever we're doing what we're doing, we understand it in the perspective of what is already on ground by Chukokike, so that we don't come into Biafra thinking whether it will work or not work. Mazin Namdekan said that God told him that, see Biafra, see, as soon as his parents died, he said, see Biafra I've given to you and Biafra, which means that there is something about Biafra that is already there before it is there. You see, now I want to explain it better here now, which means that whenever we are going to achieve anything that is divine, it is already there, even if we are working to make it there, to bring it there. And that means when it comes to Biafra, Biafra is already here, even if we are working towards it to be here. That means we have to understand that Biafra itself, as much as it is called, and a people are organized by God and given a mandate to fulfill a particular narrative of what he has called them to fulfill, because it is already fulfilled. So even if we are talking about Biafra now, we're already talking about something that is already it is already. So when God says, look at Biafra I've given to you, that means it is already seen, it is already perceived, it is already created, it is already designed, it is already manifested. As much as we are aware. That means there is always a manifestation before a manifestation. Am I correct? Because the spiritual has a stronger, of what we see, which means in the spiritual, that is when things are real, not because we have not seen them, but because they are real in the spiritual. So when God told Mazin, Biafra is here, look at Biafra is already here before you are in it. That means any of us, every one of us, that are doing right, make sure that we achieve Biafra. We are trying to achieve what is already achieved. So there's no question of asking, are we sure? But that question does not arise because it is already here as we wait into having it here. And that is where I want your mindset to go into, so that you can understand the things of mystery and in the perspective of manifestation. Manifestation is not until you see it physically with your eyes. Manifestation is the conception and the programming of all these details by Chukwokike, who brings it to pass. And then we now walk into it as much as he has brought it to pass by our action, by what we do. Now, there's something I want to discuss here as I bring this to you. Weaponizing Biafra project. I want to ask you something. And why I want to ask this question is because over time, we have found ourselves falling and making mistakes in this Biafra project. And one of the basic mistakes that we have seen that has come to pass or has played out is the mistake of engaging in organizational program for Biafra when there is no structure. Now get to understand me. Then the reason why I'm bringing this particular narrative here at this time is so that now we're going to do things better. Because under the auspices of accountability and transparency group, we have to go very intellectual so that we can understand what we're doing and then learn from the things that we have done in the past that has actually kept us where we are right now. Unless we understand these mistakes, we will not know how to fine-tune the future. The future is every future that you have, my future, your future, our future, and the nation of Biafra, the future of Biafra is already God's past, because in God it is already there, but in our time we are waiting for it to manifest. So it is already there. Now listen, one big mistake we have been making in this Biafra project is that we have engaged in administrative organizational programs without structure. What that means is this. Some of you I've said this before anyways, but I want to make it very conspicuous right now by making it the focus of this broadcast. Most of us have contributed money for Biafra, right? Most of us have given our time, right? Most of us, of course, have posted so many things regarding Biafra, talking about Biafra, your support for Biafra, your desire to achieve, your moral support, your financial support, we have done so many things for the purpose of Biafra. There's nothing wrong with that. Fantastic. Everything that you have given because you have the intention that Biafra should be restored is fantastic. In fact, it is not a bad seed. As long as your heart is pure and your heart was focused on the ball when you gave it, even if the person who collected it from you wanted to dupe you, it is a seed that you have sown and it must germinate and produce Biafra. It will only condemn the person who has collected that thing from you and manipulated you to collect from you, if they are not on the path of truth. That means those people who have been collecting resources from Biafrans, who have genuine conscience for the purpose of Biafra, they would suffer the consequences of their actions, but the people who sow the seed will still see the seed manifest because they were desirous, and their intention is that they are going to get results from Biafra. Through their seed to Biafra. Now, I was telling us the other time a story of a woman who was telling about her cousin, who has given so much to this Biafra project, especially given to Simon and Co. and his rogue team. And she was telling me that this guy has given so much, and when he discovered the criminality of Simon and all of that, he now got so worried. He works with NNPC, so he has given so much for this, and he's now so sad. He is now trying to say this thing. It seems this thing is not going to work, and he's going to give up, and he doesn't want to be part of it again, supporting and all of that. And I was trying to make her understand some stuff. Just like what I told you when I did this broadcast, I said Biafra is already here, it's already manifested, it's already a thing of the past because it is manifested already in the realm of the spirit. So in our time, we are waiting for it to manifest in the future, whereas in the time of God, it's already manifested in the past, which means it's already there before it is coming into us, into our time. So Biafra can never and never be a thing that cannot be manifested because it is already manifested in the past and it is manifesting in our time. And as long as God has made it manifest in the past, it's going to manifest now. And in the realm of the spirit, it had come before it came in the past and it's manifesting in our time. Now, this man was frustrated because he has been giving monies to Simon and his rogue team. And now he's come to discover that these guys aren't serious. After the election thing, he said, why these monies were contributing was for the elections to be stopped, but they were not enforced. And the actions were not taken to stop the election. So now he feels he's not no more going to give any money. And he wants to adjudge the project of Biafra by somebody else's errors. And that is why I want to tell you this. Don't make Biafra project a weapon of ignorance for yourself. That's the first nugget I want to give to you now. Don't make Biafra project a weapon of ignorance for yourself. Nobody's action or inaction or behavior should determine how you believe in Biafra. I want to tell you this, very important. Nobody's criminality, nobody's actions, nobody's intentions should determine whether to believe in Biafra or not. Because the standard of Biafra is measured by Chukwuokike's project. The standard of Biafra is measured by the fact that Chukwuokike has designed it to rescue his people. Every people is created to have their own, their own location, their own nation, and their own gathering. That is how God made it. In fact, you saw it in Genesis chapter 10. In chapter 11, when God divided with a voice, used language to create a barrier and began to divide nations and taking people to territories and dividing them by languages and all of that. That was critical because Chukwuokike made it as a principle that every kinds of people have their own location and have their own side and where they're going to operate sovereignty and manage themselves, because we are created to manage. what God has created and to manage and to give result to God. Well done, dear brother. Thank you so much, Ugo. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. So the project of Biafra is not determined by somebody's action or behavior. So don't say that because somebody has misbehaved, because somebody have stolen money from you, because somebody have duped Biafrans, you are no more going to support Biafra. That is a big error. That means you are subjecting the life of over 120 million people to few people's behavior and actions. It can never be that way. It can never be that way. Nobody determines the future of a people. One person dropping out and getting criminal does not determine the future of the rest of the people. The rest of the people determine their future by their actions, unless if you want it stalled. And if you make it stalled, then you're going to delay it. Your generation will be wiped off, and then the next generation is going to come and pick it up from there. Because it is embedded in the human DNA that we always seek to have our domain sovereignly, national sovereignty, identity, similarities, culture, etc. Yes, that's it. Individual divisive. These are the things I'm trying to point, that anybody's action and anybody does not qualify the collective of the people, no matter how we live in the God has given to us. So, criminal, and every person who is in this whole thing does not know what God has is sacrosanct to God's purpose for us. And if you will understand that in this light, you'll then understand that you don't need to complain about somebody's behavior and use it as a means of saying that you are not going to go further into this. Because going further into it is only determined because God has ordained it. So the first nugget here is don't weaponize Biafra to soothe your ignorance because of somebody else's behavior. Don't determine how you support Biafra and how you support your own freedom by somebody else's misbehaviors. No, that means you are less. That means you don't have value for yourself. That means the value you attach to yourself is dependent on somebody else's action. And that is an error. Because if somebody's action determines the value you attach to yourself and to what you believe in, then you don't know why you are here. You don't even know what you stand for. You don't even know what you represent. If I determine if I determine Biafra by somebody else's behavior and actions, then I have only limited my capacity and my knowledge about who I am and my personality. And of course, my knowledge of God, who created the whole thing. Edith, thank you so much. Edith Nedu, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. Thank you. Good evening from here. Also to you on behalf of Biafrans. Why should I adjudge Biafra by somebody else's behavior? Why should I adjudge my belief in what God has given to me by somebody's criminality? That would be an error. That is fundamental, that I don't even know why I am here. Yeah, you are here because you are created for the purpose of being here to give a result to the Creator. Because the Creator created you to suit and for His glory. That is why every manufacturer manufactures every product to defend their brand name. They want that product to fulfill its purpose of creation, and then so that to keep to sustain the brand name of that company. That is why when companies produce, they give you the manual and they make you understand that once this thing doesn't work, please bring it back to us. Don't lose it. Don't do anything to it. Just bring it the way it is. Because you know why? They don't want you to lose value or lose faith in their brand. So they want to get it back to you, and if possible, they are going to give you a new one. They want their brand to continue to sell, so they don't want anything that will tarnish their image. That is why David also said it. So I walk through beside the still waters. The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still. Righteousness here is tantamount to result. He leads me in the path of result. He leads me on the path of result. On the path, so that he will for his image action, so that he so create the mandate why he has called you forward for you. Now that's the first error. Why you're ignorant. I did a way of judging people. Don't do that. Number the biggest mistake you can make, some of we have to praise is to give financially or otherwise, whatever way you want to give, to the narrative of Biafra or the seeking for Biafra without knowing if there is a structure that is set to make it come to pass. You see, one thing that happened, I don't like mentioning those rogue team anyway under Simon, but I just have to mention them once in a while as reference. You know, when this whole thing started, I remember telling them about them setting up a structure that will help so that when funds come in, people can know where these funds are going. And I'm glad that I at least with time, we were able to speak out, because by the time people begin to discover, and when people started discovering the criminality, they would have rubbed it on me too, when I don't even know anything about who is eating the money and who is not eating, and who is in, you know, we're just there broadcasting and promoting, but we didn't know that we were just doing it for some people who are stealing the resources of the people. Now, every structure is meant to safeguard every purpose. Get this. For that purpose to manifest, the structure must safeguard the purpose. And how it does it is this. The structure exudes administrative programs and activities to safeguard the purpose. When someone tells you about a purpose to, you know, trying to get you into a purpose without you understanding the structure, then that purpose is flawed. It's just like someone who wants to build a house. You want to build a house, but yet you don't have a foundation to it. Structure is tantamount to foundation to every purpose. So when someone tells you that they want to achieve Biafra on your behalf, they want to go, you know, in carrying out the program of Biafra on your behalf, you must ask about the structure. What is on ground to sustain the program as it runs? So the only way you can get yourself rightly in the path of righteousness, or in the path of success, or in the path of benefits, righteousness here represents success, or represents destination, you know, positive destination. The only way you can get yourself into that path is to ask questions. Don't just bring out your money and put into a thing, but ask questions. What is the structure formidable to sustain this investment I want to make into this? Some of you have invested in Biafra without asking questions, and yet some of you who have done this kind of investment without asking questions work in places where there are laid down structure for administrative purposes. Some of you work in places you can't even go to your office and just take money from the office. No, because there's a structure that makes that very impossible and very difficult to do, because if it doesn't, then they are going to lose. They're going to go into waste. They're going to go bankrupt. They're going to close down. If everybody comes into the company and everybody have access to the account of the company, then that company is going to close down very soon, because people are going to steal and steal and steal. If every company is established and the company doesn't have safeguards to the sensitive information of the company, or safeguards to how the company operates, based on the fact that those safeguards help to make the work go on without getting the people compromise their stance, and then you know that that company, if it doesn't have that safeguard, is going to go down very soon. That is why it's important that you must understand. Now, there's Accountability and Transparency Group have now discovered that this has been the error and the mistakes that have been happening. And we have come to correct these mistakes. We have come to fix these mistakes so that you can ask questions and know if there's a structure that can manage the funds that you bring in. Because the funds for Biafra restoration are meant to be managed, or else they will be stolen, they will be squandered, they will be looted. And looting of these funds is automatic if there's no standard structure. And that is why you see under Simon, there's automatic stealing, because there's no standard structure. Automatic stealing, there's automatic stealing. With the resources that have been committed, if the Dragon Flag project has been followed, by now we would have gone so far, and by now we would have secured our territory. Honestly, by standard, from last year until now, if the resources contributed by Biafrans have been utilized appropriately, by now we would have secured our territory. I tell you, I can assure you that. With the standard and with the plan that Accountability and Transparency Group has now, if the resources that have come in from last year to now has come into Transparency and Accountability Group, that resources that have gone to Simon, by now you would have seen that we would have secured our territories. Because we have what it takes. Because we have what it takes. We have everything that takes. Right on with truth, my fellow comrade Kelechi. Thank you so much, Barbara. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. But anyways, there is no cause for alarm, because they said whenever you wake up, it's your morning. Now this is the time. Most of you have invested, but you invested in the wrong hands who don't have a structure to manage your resources. You invested in the hands that are determined to steal what belongs to you and destroy you by yourself, because they put you in a very psychological situation right now. Some of you are confused. Some of you don't know where to go. Some of you are saying that we don't know what's happening. Some of you are just there and you are just tired of the whole thing. Now you can imagine someone who is working in NNPC, given money, who understands how the process and the procedure and the structure in NNPC, how it operates. Yet the person comes, takes money, and gives to somebody who is just telling him about Biafra without a structure. And he invests in Simon, and now they couldn't get the election stopped. And now he's tired, he's angry, he's reacting, and lots of other people too. Not just that man. I'm using him as an instance. Now you can see that in spite of how academical you can be, no matter how much you have gone to school, it is different from being intellectually sound. It only takes an intellectually sound person to ask questions of the structure that is available, so that what they put in their resources would make sense. So people have weaponized Biafra against you, weaponized it. Are too very sentimental about the issue of Biafra. That is why today, when people like us ask questions, why are you talking about accountability? You should just be, trust me, but make sure you have the structure to sustain that trust you have in me. Because if there is no structure, you don't know how to verify the trusts that you have in me. It is the structure that helps you verify, and that helps you endorse the trust you have in me. If there's no structure, how then do you know if the trust you have in me is working out right? These are very, very important things we should ask ourselves as Biafrans. Ego says, without structural principles laid out and meticulously followed, such organizational bodies will certainly fail. Definitely, it's automatic. It's automatic. Barbara says, Abia is with you. Comrade Kelechi. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I say, thank you. You need a principle. You need principles embedded in structure, because principles, I told you, of course, are products, are products that emanate from vision. And every vision has principles that goes with the structure. That structure sustains the principle for the benefit of the vision. Principles are the working is like the working currency. Principles are the working currency, or principle is the working currency to help achieve vision. But principle is exchanged in the context of structure, so that structure becomes very, very positive, or very, very potent for the sustenance of vision. In fact, vision is blurred, is not achievable, is confusing if there is no principle guarding it, using the narrative of a structure. So when you take your money as someone who claims to be intellectual. You give your money to somebody without understanding the structure the person is working on with, without understanding how these monies go. And it's shocking that somebody can take their money and give to Simon when they know that the money goes to Azuka's husband's account. It's shocking. That's crazy, but we don't know. Maybe they're under spell or something. But anyways, if it is spell, anyways, teachings like this will help to correct those anomalies. I'll make sure that I don't pass them. I don't exceed 40 minutes here, because I actually wanted to, say better we stand with Nigeria. Somebody's talking about Nigeria here. How can somebody be talking about something that is not structurally composed when we are talking about getting a structure? Biafra is structure. Biafra is truth, because truth is structure. When you have a false structure, and then you are going to have Nigeria as a sign of that. So Nigeria is not the issue here. We're not talking about Nigeria. If you stand for Nigeria, then you have already told yourself that you're standing against yourself and against your intellectual capacity, because it only takes an intellectual to understand that Nigeria is contrary, or is the opposite of intellectualism. So if you are thinking Nigeria, then you're not intellectual. You have to understand that every Nigerian, no matter how academically sound they are not intellectuals, because they don't reason through to understand that narrative called Nigeria, that contraption, is outside the norm, the outside truth, outside normality, outside sanity. Apart from your academic progress, you're also endowed with natural wisdom. Yes, now let me explain that. You see, academic knowledge is acquired because you exude your intellectual capacity to grasp information from somebody else's intellectual property. Every academic program that you go to acquire is somebody else's intellectual property. Whatever course you studied in university or in secondary school, in primary school, whatever subject you studied, is as a result of somebody else's intellectual property. But when you go to study those stuff, you are only acquiring academic knowledge, but that has nothing to do with your intellectual capacity, because the only side of your intellectual capacity that is being exuded is the ability to cram, or the ability to memorize something, because every academic knowledge is you are memorizing something, somebody else's intellectual property. So, but memorizing that does not mean that you have been able to build your intellectual ability. Your intellectual ability is built by you giving strength to your ability to reason constructively, even if academic information or knowledge can also inspire you to build your intellectual capacity. Whenever you see yourself intellectual capacity, it simply means that academic knowledge or your ability to reason that is only structured or kept in that side subject it to knowledge, use some intellectual and capacity. Whenever you acquire any academic knowledge, subject it to your intellectual capacity. When you able to reason properly to know if that academic knowledge freedom or well positioned for your advancement, for your future. That is why when we who looking at the things you have studied and then reason using your mental capacity to reason out these things and find out the ones that are true, the ones that are real. I don't want it to exceed 40 minutes. We shall be doing more of these teachings, and we're going to be coming more with these teachings. I don't want it to exceed 40 minutes. As I said, we're going to be talking between 30, 40 minutes or highest 50 minutes. But today I'm not going to go. I want people to have the ability to listen later and get of course some people don't have the much time to stay for 1 hour, 1 hour listening to broadcasts. So a brief stuff like this will help us to, so we'll be putting it little by little so people can digest the information and at the same time get results. Benjamin, Nigeria's Benjamin was talking out of ignorance, but I know that he's going to come and that's what we stand for. So Benjamin will not say. Thank you all. I appreciate you guys. It's a privilege. It's an honor. You know, it was now that I want to stop in 40 minutes. It's like I've not said anything, but I know that I've said some stuff here that are needed for people to reason through. So I want you to digest this information. Share this on all your social media platforms. Let other people get the information. And please, if you have not subscribed to this channel, subscribe to it. And get ready. Remember the number, +2127078989194. Call that number or send a message to that number on WhatsApp so that you can join the accountability and transparency group to make a difference. This is the time for us to come together and do what we have to do for ourselves. Nobody will do it for you. If you're thinking anybody was going to do it for you, they will only weaponize it against you. Whenever you think somebody will do it for you, they will weaponize it against you. If you think people will achieve Biafra for you, they will weaponize it against you. That's what Simon and his rogue team is doing. So you better don't let people weaponize it against you. They will weaponize it and use it to steal from you. Don't let it get to that. It is time for us to come together, reason together, as the Lord said in Isaiah chapter 1, verse 48, though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as. Come, let's reason together. It's time. Thank you so much, all. I love you all. Thank you. God bless you.